Hey Hodies, welcome to my channel. So the intro of this video, there was no sound, and it turns out that I didn't turn the switch on my microphone on, but I clearly in the footage realized that I hadn't done that and then turned the microphone on. So I don't know why I didn't re-record an intro. So this is my intro. Hello, if you are new here, I'm ranking every makeup item that I tried for the first time this year. I typically am more concentrated about loving my makeup collection as it currently is, but I still did bring some new things into my collection, so I just wanted to tell you what I thought about them. And this is part 3 of the series, so we're getting into the good stuff. And then part 4 will be the best of the best. So I would love to have you subscribe if you are new to my channel. Make sure you like this video, especially with this, messed up intro. And I'm also on patreon.com if you'd like to support me there. And that's it. That's where I'm going to leave this intro. Enjoy the rest of it. In 35th place, this is the Sonia G Soft Concealer Brush. That's it. So here's the deal. When it comes to Sonia G, which is I got into the brand this year. I started with the Fusion series, and then I also started spreading my wings about with some more Sonia G brushes this year. And if you're doing the math, if I've only mentioned one other Sonia G brush, we're headed somewhere. We're on a journey, and it's brushes. We're going to be talking about a lot of brushes. This, if you watched my original Sonia G Fusion brush review, which was released 6 months after the initial launch, but I like to try things and see how much I'm going to use them before I really take the time and tell you whether or not I recommend them or I don't recommend them. Here's the thing. Beautiful brush. Not any better than any brush that you could get at Sephora. So I had a Sephora concealer brush. And honestly, also, this brush is, I think, $34, or at least at the time I bought it, it was somewhere around $34. The Sephora collection brush was the same price as this. So if you have the Sephora collection one, this is more of a lateral move than an upgrade. So if you were looking to upgrade your concealer brush, this doesn't feel like an upgrade, but it's a very nice brush. I utilize it all the time. In fact, it's my only concealer brush because I don't need another one, but I'm not saying that because this revolutionized my concealer brush situation. I'm just saying I have it. It is a nice brush and I don't really need another concealer brush. I guess I have another concealer brush, but I don't use that brush for concealer. See the worst or the mettest products. I don't remember where in the countdown it lands. I can't remember these things. That's where this Sonia G brush lands. And I don't think I have anything else to say about it. Let's move along. In 34th place, the Rowan 52 Degrees. If you're new here, I talked about why I like the Rowan quads. I have a video about the Rowan quads. I tried them for the first time this year. Here's why this one ranks so much higher than 75 Degrees Warm. I just like the color story better. These are more of my style of one and done eyeshadows. If I'm gonna do a warm eyeshadow look, I need to add depth to it, but I will smear a taupe on my eye and say that's makeup. And I get that from here. And there's also some pinks in here. And, I have said some shit about pink on my channel. And, I don't take any of it back. But these pinks are nice pinks. Nice, cool tone, greigey pinks. And I like it. And it makes me happy. And this is my countdown. And I can do whatever I want. You can't tell me what to do. I guess I can't really elaborate anymore. I talked more about my experience with the Rowan Quad. So if you want to hear about that, either check my last countdown video or just check out the Rowan Quad video so you can really see my in-depth reviews. But I feel like I don't have to elaborate on this. I just like this color story more. This one came out of nowhere this year. This came out of nowhere this year. At number 33 is the MAC lipstick. The MAC. I said MAC. Me. In the year of our Lord, 2022, I said, let me put this high up on my ranking. A MAC lipstick feels revolutionary to me. I feel like a trendsetter, actually. For those of you who don't know, for those of you who are uninitiated, MAC has a program called Back to MAC, where if you bring six empties, MAC, specifically MAC empties, back to your local MAC or MAC counter. In my case, I only have MAC counters. We don't have a MAC store in Pittsburgh. Mac, where you at, boo? You know what I back to Mac? 6 empty Fix Pluses. I like Fix Plus, okay? And I don't want to try anything else. I really like Mac Fix Plus. It's my journey. It's my destiny. It's who I am. It's the literal spray that I've been using since I started makeup. And I've tried other sprays. When I worked at Sephora, I tried many other sprays I received in gratis. And, nothing does it like Fix Plus. It's the scent. It's everything about it. And I understand. You're going to leave a comment. You're going to be like, but Makeup Forever Mist and Fix O2. It's not the same. It doesn't smell the same. And I don't know, brave and bold and controversial. I like the sprayer on the Mac Fix Plus. Anyway, this isn't about Mac Fix Plus. This is about Whirl. I go up and I give them my 6 empty containers. And she was like, what shade of lipstick would you like? And I was like, can you help me? And she said, sure, absolutely. And I was like, I like brown lipstick. And she was like, well, there's this classic shade Whirl. It was the first thing she swatched, but I let her swatch some other things for me. But I couldn't stop thinking about it. It's a beautiful brown. It's just like the most beautiful retro 90s brown. It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. It's everything I've ever wanted in a lip color. It is warmer than I really like to go, when it comes to brown. It's like a little bit warm, but it's still perfect. And honestly, you guys, I think this is their regular matte formula. Now, I know they have the ultra matte formula, which is I think what Ruby Woo comes in, and I hated Ruby Woo. That was something that was gifted to me very early on in my makeup journey. So I was not expecting to like this, but I know when you MAC to MAC, this is what you get. You get a lipstick. I don't even think I finished explaining the thing. You return 6 empties, they give you a lipstick. I don't even think I finished that thought, but that's what happens. And I picked out Whirl, and it really worked out for me. This lipstick formula is really nice. Brave, bold, and controversial for me to say that in 2022. I know. But it wears really nice. It looks really nice on the lips. It doesn't get chunky and gunky and gross. It wears off really beautifully. It's a beautiful formula and a beautiful color. And it makes me feel really hot, like a hot bitch from the 90s. Like I'm in the craft. And that's what I want from life. Do I not look like a hot bitch from the 90s? I'm also wearing brown lipstick right now. That's a story for another time. Is it the most inspiring thing? No, that's why it's not number 1. Whirl isn't number 1. Didn't rock my world that it didn't rock my Whirl that much. But it did enough, man, to make me think that like potentially if there's another lipstick shade next time, I'll be back to macking soon. I go through Fix Plus like water. Probably about the same pace that I drink water is how I go through Fix Plus, which should tell you that I don't drink a lot of water, but I do use a lot of Fix Plus. Anyway, thank you, Whirl, for your service. I'm really glad to bring you into the new year. Let's move along. In 32nd place, we're going to talk about lipsticks, I guess, a lot in this video. In 32nd place is from Black Moon Cosmetics, their Sinister Satin in the shade Omen. A bitch from the craft wears Omen. A black lipstick. Revolutionary? Not really, but the formula is really freaking nice. This formula of lipstick is maybe one of my favorite formulas I've tried this year. Now, it doesn't rank as high because, like, how often am I really in practice going to use a black lipstick? Now, more than your regular person, because I do like throwing on a black lip. I know we're not even in Halloween, but we could do a December black lip. We could do whatever we want because we're grown people and we get to make those decisions. And like I said in my last video, you can go out into the world looking however you want with makeup on. Unless it's appropriation or, like, culturally offensive, you can't do that. But otherwise, if you want to wear a black, here, I'm going to just narrow this down. I went too broad. Too broad. Don't listen to old me. Listen to me now. If you want to wear a black lip in December, you should go ahead and do that. I do. I'm gonna. Maybe I'll wear black lipstick to my Christmas brunch. I'll do what I want. Anyway, let me tell you more about this formula. First of all, the component is really cute. It's not like super weighted or anything, but the component is so cute. And this is the first thing I've ever tried from Black Moon Cosmetics. And I would love other lipsticks in this formula, but not a lot of the other lipsticks catch my eye. But they do have a liquid lipstick in the shade Cider, which I have my eye on. And it came back in stock, and I took everything in my willpower to not just buy it, to not just go, that is for me. It's like the perfect black. A lot of times whenever you wear a black lipstick, depending on how balanced the undertones are, it can make your teeth look really yellow. And I did not find that my teeth looked really yellow with this lipstick on. Not only that, it's a satin formula. More satin formulas, please. Didn't need it to be matte. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. It's so comfortable on the lips, and much like Whirl, wears off really beautifully. Like, I mean, obviously there's not really an elegant way for a black lipstick to wear off, and the nature of the formula is not one that's going to last all day, so you're going to have to reapply it if you are wearing it in, like, eating, kissing, whatever you want to do with your black lipstick. I love that their aesthetic is kind of ooky spooky and they do some weird lipstick colors in their range, but I would also, maybe love some nudes in this formula, and I would really get down with that. I would really love that. But I recommend, like, if you were curious about this, because I heard about these through Kat from Beauty News, or the Kitsch Niche, and she raved about them. And I was like, I don't really like any of those colors. But when Halloween did roll around, I was like, I really miss having a black lipstick. I love having a black lipstick in my collection because it's so badass. It's a statement. Could not have been more pleased to have received and tried this formula this year. In 31st place, the Chanel Correcteur in Vert. It's a green color corrector from Chanel. Now, who else was personally victimized by Hannah Louise Poston trying a bunch of color correctors but taking a really long time to put out the actual video where she reviews the color correctors, and then ultimately ends up using a color corrector and keeping a color corrector from a brand that wasn't even the original color corrector video? I've been attacked. Anyway, this was the one that Hannah used on camera the most, and I was like, let me get on that. So I have some redness in my face, just like general redness. I am not as concerned about it as I feel like other people who use green color correctors. So the green color corrector really only gets used for me on like days where I want to look really perfected. So if I'm going on a date, or if I'm maybe looking a little worse for wear and I like want a full coverage look for camera, that's the time that I'm using this, because it not only does a really good job canceling out redness, but it also an insane amount of coverage. It's high coverage. It's coverage. Okay, because when I put it on the first time, I was like, wow. Because I was wearing like, I think a tinted moisturizer one of the first times, or I was wearing the Chantecaille. I think I was trying out the Chantecaille foundation when I first got this, and I had put it on half of my face, and then I put the Chantecaille on top of it. I was like, I now have a full coverage. And if you've ever tried the Chantecaille Future Skin Gel Foundation, it claims it's a full coverage foundation, but it absolutely isn't. So don't believe that. But also, this made it a full coverage foundation. I probably wouldn't buy this again. And it ranks a little bit lower. It's like not in my creme de la creme of products, because I often will pull it out to use it and then forget to. So it hasn't claimed such a spot in my mind that it becomes something that I do every time, or even often, or like I will take it out of the drawer and put it on my desk, and I will just be working on my complexion, and 9 times out of 10 I have finished my complexion and I look down at the vanity and there's the green color corrector, and I'm like, wow, I sure didn't use that in my look today, and kind of move on from there. If I'm gonna do like after I finish it, because I'm absolutely sure I can finish it, I don't know that I would buy this Chanel one again. It doesn't feel that important. It doesn't feel that it needs to be Chanel. While it is nice, the component leaves some things to be desired. It's a little bit messy. There's like a lot of product gets caught up in that, like the stopper. So I don't know, they can like go back to the drawing board there, but it's like also just like a frosted plastic. And whenever you're paying 45 doll hairs for a color corrector, I think we could have gone with a more sleek feeling component, because it doesn't even really feel sleek. And the only branding that's on it is on the top of the lid. So it's not even like when you're holding it, you're getting like what you're actually paying for, like the name brand Chanel. Like you're not seeing the name brand, like you're not really getting that experience with it. So I think if it had all of the things that I consider to be important in a luxury experience with a product, I would probably rank this higher, and I probably wouldn't forget to use it all of the time. And I think those two things are true. Like I think that is the literal case, is that it would be like that. And now that we're getting into like the really good products, if it's something that isn't really special but not something I want to use all the time, or it isn't like the best, it's just not going to be there, and it isn't that. We have a couple more lipsticks to get through. In 30th place, we have the Natasha Denona I Need a Nude in the shade Nola. Now, if you missed it, I talked a little bit about a snafu that Natasha Denona has found themselves in. And if you want to hear more about that, I'll just refer you to the last video, and there are like links in the description box. I love this lipstick, and it's more the color. The color is really interesting. It's like it's a cool toned brown, but not as cool toned as the next color. So I found this one to be much more wearable. In fact, it's like cool toned, but it's like kind of weird because it does feel like there's a little bit of yellow in it. There's just something a little off kilter about this shade. It is in fact a nude lipstick, but when you put it on, it's like, that's weird. Like, it's like just a little bit off. That color is found in people's skin tone for sure, and maybe even people's natural lip color. But on me, it's just like, it reads like this really bizarre nude. Also, the component is lovely. It's all white, metal, heavy. There's a magnet component to it, and then when you open it up, it's like metal. Oh, it's just like the experience of it is like the cool aluminum or tin in your hand as you're opening it, and just like it glides on. What I love about this is that sometimes I find with lipsticks is that you need to like go back and forth quite a bit to like kind of this is like you swipe it on, it's there, super comfortable. I would say that this also has more of like a satin finish. It's not a matte. It doesn't feel like a matte. And if it's supposed to be a matte, it doesn't feel like that. I would say that it is a medium coverage lipstick. Sometimes I feel like I have to do 2 layers of it to get full opacity, which is how I prefer to wear it. And when I first got this lipstick, I was a little bit confused by that because I feel like every lipstick I had already tried up until the point of like getting this was the kind of formula where it just like covered your lips all in one swipe. And so for me to not like get that coverage in one swipe was like pretty weird for me. But as the year rolled on, I found myself reaching for this lipstick all of the time, and it like lives in my brain. It's almost, there's like 3 lipsticks that anytime I'm done with a makeup look, I go, I'm gonna grab Noah or blank and blank, which we're gonna get to at some point in this countdown. And that is so nice. That is so nice. And I think these are $24, or they were $24-ish at the beginning of the year, which is like not the most egregious price point, especially for the way that it feels in the hands. It's just a nice formula. I would say like, it feels like something I probably would have paid $40 for and like felt very similarly about and still felt good about paying $40 for it. If there is a nude in this collection that you are super interested in, I would say it's worth the gamble. I don't think I would buy one of the other shades because Noah is I got it right on the first strike. I was like, ooh, that's the one. And again, this is another one I bought because if you're not familiar with Kitchenage or Kat, she spent the last like 2 years going through 500 lipsticks and talking about the formulas, but she kept this one because of the color being unique. And I was like, for someone who has tried 500 lipsticks and is like saying that this is a really unique shade, I was like, yes, that sounds like something I would want. I have another lipstick to talk about because we're just on a lipstick kick. Apparently this was a year of like blush and lipstick for me, but you'll know why I have this in just a moment. It is Gucci A Royal Scandal lipstick. I mean, first and foremost, let's talk about this component. It's this gorgeous gold packaging and it feels really good in your hand. I like my packaging to be a little more weighty. It feels a little dainty to me. Like the I Need a Nude is like better packaging in my brain, like in what I'm looking for in like the heft of a product. However, gorgeously beautiful. And at first, I had the same problem with this that I had with the Natasha Denona I Need a Nude, where it's like not a fully opaque lipstick. But once I got used to it, I like understood immediately why Hannah Louise Poston's always like talking about this shade. And just like Natasha Denona's Noah, it's one of those ones where I like think about it when I'm doing my makeup look. I'm like, can I use it? Because I always want to. The lipstick formula is so incredibly comfortable. And I think this shade is just, it's so unique. If you're going to stick around on my channel, make sure you watch my Declutter and Makeup Collection series. I'll swatch these two next to each other, Noah and this one, because at first I thought they were like much more similar than they ended up being. And then when you swatch them next to each other, there's like nuances there. And it might not be different enough for you to want both of them or need both of them, or even me to need both of them. But I really like both of them. And I think they are varied enough that they both like hold a spot in my collection. It is expensive lipstick. It is. Here's the thing. If you don't have a lot of lipsticks and you really wanted a special one, that's special all around, like from the packaging to the formula to the color, I don't think you could go wrong with a Royal Scandal, as long as you're into like a taupe lipstick, like a grayish taupey lipstick. If you're like into that kind of thing, I think that this kind of encompasses all of the things that I'm looking for in a makeup item: packaging, formula, performance, color. It has it all. It has a more I think it's their satin formula. They have a couple different formulas, but it comes in the all gold packaging. It's just completely satisfying. And I'm really glad I brought this into my collection. And I almost thought there was a point where I was going to declutter this. And I'm really glad I didn't. I'm really glad I gave it the grace and space to let me know it more, because for a while there, I was just using it as frustration. I was like, I just don't understand this formula. It was the formula that got to me. And then it all clicked one day and I was like, ugh. You know what? A Royal Scandal. It's a Royal Scandal that I was going to declutter you. But I'm so glad I kept it around. Let's move along. I'm tired of talking about lipsticks, but this is also my ranking. So I did this to myself. In 28th place is the Makeup by Mario Ethereal Eyes Palette. I haven't been really excited about eyeshadows recently. And I did buy a couple eyeshadow palettes this year, as you've seen, if you've been following along. But like, honestly, it's really interesting. I do this series called Critical Sass, and that's basically my new release videos. But once a month, I would do Critical Sass live, and I would have the chat going. And my chat was always much more interested in eyeshadow palettes than like I ever could be. You guys love indie brands. You love indie shadows. You love a colorful color story. And like nothing much was resonating with me in terms of eyeshadows this year. This was released and I was like, it was on Makeup by Mario's website. I have a pro discount through Makeup by Mario. And I was like, I want that. I'm going to buy. Here's like the caveat to this. And anytime I've talked about this palette, this is the caveat and this is what I need you to take away with it. I enjoy this palette and I really like it. And it adds value to my collection personally because I do not have like a neutral palette that has shimmers in it. I have some neutral palettes that are all mattes that I use for making my own palettes when I build my own palettes. So I have some, but I didn't have like a palette that could be like a fallback. Like if I didn't know what to do with my makeup today, I did not have like an easy breezy palette for me to like pull out and be like this. And it just fills that place so beautifully in my makeup collection. The second thing that I really like about this palette is that Makeup by Mario stepped up the packaging. There's some weight to this. It's not plastic. It feels really nice in the hands. I love that. I've already talked about how like I like my makeup to be an experience start to finish. And the ethereal, beautiful shimmers in it are really nice. And it's like the kind of go-to thing that I'm doing whenever I don't really want to fuss with my eyeshadow. That's what I want. And this provides that to me. However, if you already have a palette that like fills that hole in your makeup collection, then I don't think this palette would be worth it for you. It was worth it for me for all of the reasons I just mentioned, but I don't think this is a palette for everyone. These shadows are really soft, and have a lot of kick up when you put your brush in it. And I know that's a no-go for a lot of people, so it's something to know going into it, but that really worked for me, and I found that they blended really beautifully. I've heard other people say they had a different experience with it, but like I spent a lot of time blending my eyeshadow. I feel like I don't have to do that with the Makeup by Mario palette. So it's been a worthwhile investment for me. It's like one of those things where I just don't think that like you need to feel any kind of FOMO should this palette go away, because it is limited edition. Like if you didn't buy it, it's not in your budget. Like I don't feel like there's no FOMO. There's none of that comes with this. It's just like, it's a very lovely palette. It was a palette that was very worthwhile in all facets for me. And I love that. And because it hits all of those check boxes for me, just like Gucci A Royal Scandal, it's like boom, boom, boom. You're going down the list, hitting the mark. I can't complain about it. And it's just added value to my collection. When I bought it, I was nervous about that. I was like, well, am I going to feel like I'm going to use it? But I've revisited it so many times since I've gotten out of my like review period with it. Like I've gotten a lot of value out of it. But let me add a reference for you here. I did a video called Makeup by Mario Did Not Invent Ethereal Eyes, which just is a reminder that you probably have like these ethereal shadows. If that was really the selling point for you, you probably have these in your makeup collection and you don't need this palette to fulfill that fantasy. I will put that up in the cards. Whichever side it goes on, I like never know. I haven't been mentioning what is PR and what's not, but everything I talked about so far has been purchased, or in the case of the MAC lipstick, was something part of their program. Now we're going to talk about a product that I got in PR, and it is the Merit Perfecting Complexion Stick. Ooh, Chile. This really gets me. I love this product. I think much like the Makeup by Mario, there are some caveats to this. If you don't have oily skin, or in prep for your face, put products on that have a lot of slip to them, I don't think you will like this. In fact, if you're putting down like a matte primer or something that has a lot of grip to it, this is not going to work. And if that's your preferred primer, skip it. But for me, with like an oil-based primer down, or like a glowy primer down, something that has a lot of slip to it, this product is gorgeous. It's like this beautiful light coverage, blurring, refracting light situation. And I got this, I have the old packaging, but now the new packaging has almost twice the amount of product in it. I am so mad that I didn't get that one, because I have had this since closer to the beginning of the year. I'm not really sure at what point I got this, but I think I've had it at least for half a year. I haven't used my full one up. This is my favorite foundation for whenever I just like am running errands, or I don't even really want to put any other makeup up. I'm just like looking for coverage. Oh, it just really does it for me. I think that this is best applied with a sponge, but like I said, an oil-based primer really, really makes it so spreadable and smooth on the skin. It just is really good. The only thing that I would say is to avoid if you do buy this product is I didn't like applying it immediately in the under eye area. I found that the formula was too thick for that and it didn't lay well under the eye. So I would normally apply it, if I was going to like wear it as concealer, I would apply it a little bit down here and then blend the remnants up into my under eye because it worked that way, but I didn't like applying it like directly from the stick onto my face that way. It was one of those things where I was having trouble with it at first because when I was trying it with my Bobbi Brown face base, I was like, I don't know about this. And then I tried it with a sponge. And when I tried it with a sponge, it blended out so beautifully. And it was because the sponge was damp. And I think that was really what did it. And then I was like, oh, let me try it with a primer that has a lot of slip to it. Maybe I will solve all my problems and be able to apply it any way I want. And it's exactly what happened. Word of caution for those of you who have facial hair. If you are applying this in your facial hair area, just be very, very diligent about blending it out. The formula just kind of gets stuck in the facial hair. And to me, that's not a downgrade. And I assume that many of you don't actually have facial hair if you're watching my channel. I assume. I'm probably right about that, but just generalizing here. I'm sure that's not going to be a thing that a lot of you are going to run into. But for those of you who do have facial hair, that's where she got me, gal. With the oil primers, it doesn't happen as badly, but it was just something that I had to pay attention to. I know that not everyone with facial hair takes their makeup through it, but I do for continuity because my facial hair, I don't keep it thick. I don't keep it long enough for it to be thick enough that it's covering the skin. So I do need some color correction, some coverage going through there. I will buy another one when I'm done with this. I really like this. But yeah, this isn't my event makeup. This is just like if I was an office work kind of gal, this would be what I would wear every day. Would be the ideal. I like it because you can apply more of it if you want more coverage. On days where it's not bad, you can spot conceal with it. It's just a handy little guy. And I love her for that. Okay, we're back to brush talk. We're getting back into the Sonia G of it all. The next three are Sonia G brushes. But in 26th place, I think that's where we are. I'll correct myself. I should look because I'll be wrong the rest of the time. In 26th place is the Sonia G Classic Base. I bought the Fusion set because I had bought a lot of cream products. I felt like I wasn't utilizing my cream products as much as I wanted to because my favorite way to apply them was with my fingers. But also my least favorite way to apply most things is with my fingers because it gets yucky and gross. And like then you have to like wipe off your hands, and inevitably I'm wiping off my hands into something glittery. Then I have glitter on my hands, and I go back to blend, and I have more glitter on my face than I intended on having. It's a to-do. It's a whole thing, right? It's just, the life that I have created and curated for myself. Glitter is a problem. Glitter is my problem.
And I also hope that my ex, who said that he hated glitter and he didn't want it in his house, I hope my glitter is still haunting you. I hope it's still lingering around your house. I hope you never get rid of it. I hope I'm like herpes. Like my little glitter is just stuck to you for the rest of your life.
Anyway, I bought the Fusion set from Sonia G because I'd been interested in trying Sonia G brushes. I watch a lot of Michelle Wong content if you're new here, and she's like Sonia G, Sonia G, Sonia G. I also watch a lot of Teresa's Dead. Then it was like Michelle was like Sonia G, Sonia G. Then Teresa was like Sonia G? Sonia G? And I was like, who's that? Do I know her? And the Fusion set seemed like a great place for me to start because it was like designed with creams in mind. What is that? What is the real thing? What is designed with something in mind? Designed with moms in mind? Choosy moms choose Jeff. I can't be sure. I'm not a scientist. Now, this brush I like for cream bronzer. It's larger, not as large as that one that Kaki's using and always saying, I can't help but think of hautemesstom. I don't understand that brush, Kaki. Why is it so big? Why is it so big? Why is it so big? I think this brush is big for bronzer. That one's too big. You know what's going to happen next year? There's going to be a whole video. I'm going to buy that brush. I'm going to be like, Kaki made me buy this. And the whole video is going to be like, I don't understand. And then I'm going to like it. These brushes are beautiful. Now, I ranked some of the other Fusion set brushes lower, but this is where we're starting to see, like, every time I use a cream bronzer, I'm using this brush. I use cream bronzer more than I ever have because of this brush. It picks up the right amount of product. It disperses product beautifully. I feel like even if you gave me a bad cream bronzer, that this brush would take it to the next level and make it something better than it ever could have been without this brush. Like, I believe when a tool is good, it makes products that you otherwise feel indifferent about and takes them to the next level. And that's what this did. I had bought the Chanel Le Beige Healthy Glow bronzer and I liked it. And then when I bought this brush to go with it, oh, I loved it. I loved it. So good. I literally haven't used this for anything but bronzer. So I highly recommend it as a cream bronzer brush. But because it does that so beautifully, I feel confident that if you wanted to use it as a foundation brush, that you absolutely could. But I prefer another Sonia G brush for foundation, and we will talk about that probably in this video, but I'm not really 100% sure. But we'll talk about it. It's coming. Let's get into number 25, the Sonia G Mini Base. I really feel that these are pretty interchangeable as far as the hierarchy goes, but if I use the Sonia G Classic base for bronzer, I use the Mini base for cream blush, and it stinking rocks. It's so good. Just like the Classic base, this really does beautiful things. It picks up the right amount of product, disperses it beautifully, and buffs it all out lovely. When you take a stick blush and you go, it blends that out beautifully, swipe it in a blush, it's gorgeous. And I have found it so useful because I just feel like whenever it came to cream products, I was so lost in the sauce, and Sonia G really came to save me. And specifically, I was the most lost with like my cream bronzer and cream blush. I don't mind applying cream highlighter with my fingers, and that's still my favorite way to apply cream highlight. So I have really gotten really great use out of both these brushes. They've really added a lot of value, and a lot of value to not only my collection, but like other products. They made them more valuable to me. In 24th place is another Sonia G brush, but it's not from the Fusion set. It's the Smooth Buffer. Now, there is a larger version of this brush. Again, remember, Michelle Wong is the reason I bought all of these, and she uses it specifically. This is so niche. She used it specifically with her Guerlain Meteorites. I have the Chantecaille Perfect Blur finishing powder. I own that, and I always felt like it. I heard tell of the blurring properties that came with the Chantecaille Perfect Blur powder, and I was just using like a regular brush and sweeping it on my face. Michelle was like, but I wasn't having a conversation with her. I was watching a video. She was like, with finishing powders, I really like to buff them into the skin. And then she used this brush, or like the larger version of this brush, with the Chantecaille Perfect Blur powder. And I was like, is that what I'm doing wrong? I bought a Wet n Wild brush that was shaped like this first, and it did work better. And I was like, well, now that I know that it's better, I would like to upgrade, please. And so then I bought this. And that's the only thing I use this brush for. It's highly specified and highly unique, but I use this exclusively for finishing powders. And I had multiple finishing powders for a while, but I have decluttered most of them, and I now just have the Chantecaille Perfect Blur. So this is my Chantecaille Perfect Blur brush, but it works really beautiful. Like if you have any of the Hourglass, like dim light, the ambient lighting powders, it's beautiful for that. It's just a beautiful powder brush, and I love it. I have the hardest time recommending this to you though. Like I would easily recommend either of the Fusion brushes, like the Mini Base or the Classic Base to you. This one is like, if you are someone who's a purveyor of finishing powders, then I think you'd get a lot out of this. But if you just use regular setting powder and don't follow up with a finishing powder, then this is not something I think that you need. It's just for the people who really like finishing powder. So it's a little more specified than the other two. In 23rd place is the Charlotte Tilbury Hypnotizing Pop Shot in Smokey Quartz. Before the last 2 months, I wasn't a one and done eyeshadow kind of person. I was someone who was always really looking into like constructing looks, overthinking looks, overcomplicating looks is like something that I was really, really good at doing. But when Charlotte Tilbury released these, and I saw Amanda Z and I saw Laura May Beauty get these and start putting them on their eyes, I was like, I need to have one of these. I did my best to suss it out, and I ended up buying Smokey Quartz. That was the first one I bought. I did buy another one. I already talked about that one. I got it, and I was nervous because the day I got it was the day that Kaki released her video where she talked about how she was like not impressed with the formula of these. And so I was like, maybe I made a mistake. I put it on my eyes, no primer, no nothing. I was like sitting at my work desk, and I just like threw it on my face, and I was like, yes. I wasn't wearing any makeup that day. My lids were so oily because like it had been some time since I washed my face, and I was, it was one of those moments. And by the time my work shift was over, I had nothing on my eyes, and it was all on my cheek. And then of course I played with it with primers and glitter glues and all of those things, and I really got it to work for me. This is One of my favorite looks to do is just to throw this all over on top of a glitter glue, tap it in the corner of my lid, and just blend it over. And by the time you get to the inner corner of your eye, it's just the sparkle left. None of the base pigment is in it. And it's just the easiest smoky eye I've ever done. It's like not too dark. You could wear it out during the day. It's not like too much. It doesn't feel like a lot. Man, this really butters my bread. Think about it all the time. I'm so shocked that that's where I landed, because this was like my real foray into like buying a single eyeshadow meant to be worn by itself and it feeling like it added value to my collection, because I wasn't expecting that. Now, of course, I duped it out. I did an eye for an eye with this, and I did manage to dupe it out, but I needed 2 products to accomplish what Smokey Quartz could do in one. And that way, it has added so much value to my collection. It's often what I'm wearing on my days where I'm like running errands or like just, doing something during the daytime. It's the Merit Perfecting Complexion Stick all over my face, and it is Smokey Quartz just like tapped onto the eyelids. And it doesn't have the best longevity, and that's something that I did learn in Kaki's video. However, the way it creases, it feels really beautiful to me, and I really love it. And it just then it starts looking like a smoky rock and roll eye. And again, like I said, it butters my bread and then sprinkles everything but the bagel seasoning on it. Number 22, this was something that was sent to me in PR, is the Ritual Defy Thorn Oil. This was sent to me. I did a foundation review of the 3-drop foundation that they released as a lab sample, and I ended up very confused about that foundation even after like a few weeks of use, because there was no pressure to get that video out because the foundation was already unavailable by the time that I was able to get it up. So I kind of took more time with that than I normally do with my foundation reviews. Ritual Defy saw it and they were like, try it with this primer. And I was like, okay, this is an expensive primer. It's $75. And they recommend 5 to 7 drops of the thorn oil. And I don't use that much. I have oily skin, so it's like feels like overkill, but I just do 3 drops and that's enough to prime my face because my natural oils will eventually come out and like it all balances out. But this product is really, really lovely. Everything about it. This is my first oil primer that I got to try this year ever. Like I would never have tried an oil primer, but I knew that Teresa's Dead liked it. It was like something that was on my radar a little bit. I like the brand Ritual Defy. If I had to like name some of my favorite brands, like Ritual Defy is definitely up there in some of like one of my favorite brands. I like what they do. I'm always interested in what they're doing. I feel like what they're doing is much more unique than what a lot of other brands are doing. So like I think they add a lot to the makeup space. It was very cool that they saw the video and they sent this to me. Like I can thank them enough, because like I don't know that I would ever pull the trigger on $75, $74, whatever, how much it costs. It's beautiful. And it's obviously not adding like much longevity to my foundation, but it does make all of my foundations look really good on my skin. It's not like smoothing or anything, just such an interesting thing to interact with. It's beautiful. It's in this glass bottle. You shake it, it gets like this red color. Like everything about it is just an experience. And as I previously mentioned, experience is really a big part of what I value. And it made me fall in love with oil primers. It didn't. Well, okay, so we're going to talk about the 3-drop foundation later on in these series of videos. Spoiler a little bit. I really liked the 3-drop foundation after a while. It just like took some time for me to understand it and get my head around it. But then I used this under it and I was like, oh, okay, I understand. And then I really kind of, this product in particular, getting this really made me understand like stuff that I'm putting underneath my foundation like maybe plays a bigger role than I thought. And it makes your skin look really glowy, and I'm very into that. There's another product that outranks this that I think does a very similar thing that is at a better price point. I don't think you would be disappointed if you wanted to try this. I think it's not like the be all end all product, but I think it's worth scratching that itch if you have it. But it has gone on sale before, and Ritual Defy does a couple sales throughout the year. So maybe keep your eyes peeled and try to grab it on a bargain. And I think if you have dry skin, you'll like this a lot. You'll love it even more than I do. It's a very lovely product and something that I want to pan. It's something that I'm probably going to use all the way up. Will I buy it again? I'm not 100% sure about that because of the other product we'll talk about shortly. A really, really solid product. In 21st place is Terra Moon's Blood Moon. I love this eyeshadow. It's one of the prettiest eyeshadows I own. And that's so funny because when you think about multichromes, they come in a couple different formats. There's like the metallic multichromes where it's just like a really smooth oil slick look. But then there's ones that have like micro glitters in them. And that's even more, that's really where it's at. I love a multi-chrome that has a sparkle to it. This has no sparkle. This is one of those, it's a subtle multi-chrome. But what I love about it is that it's like so deep. It's like almost black. It is so pretty. And the shift is like kind of hard to get to pick up, but it's there. And sometimes when I look at my eyes when I'm wearing it, I'm like, it's like really doing things for me. It's like it's black and red. And I do think it shifts to green. I'll have to look up what the shifts are, but like the shifts are so subtle, it's really hard to catch them all on camera or even see them in reality. But I have seen them all on my eye. I just find the fact that this does that so alluring. Where other multi-chromes are like, multi-chrome, like in your face, multi-chrome. This is like a really subdued, sexy take on a multi-chrome just because of the depth of it. And I imagine they don't have a lot of multi-chromes in this depth, like this deep, because it's like sometimes a little hard to like find the shift a little bit. Man, this really was my jam for a while, especially I think I got them in September, I think, and I was like, I want to wear this all the time. I want this all over my eye. It's been a while since I've worn it, but like this of the Terra Moons shades that I tried felt the most special and unique to me. And I think they did a really great job with this shade. And for it to rank this high as a single eyeshadow means that it's like really, really memorable for me. We made it to the top 20. Okay. Only 2 more products for us to chat about. In at 20th place is the Chantecaille Future Skin Gel Foundation. This was recommended to me by a couple of my subscribers at the beginning of the year. They really enjoyed it, and they were like, because it was really like the end of last year into this year that I really realized that like my bread and butter when it comes to foundation product is blurring light, but with light coverage. That's really what I want. And the Chantecaille Future Skin Gel Foundation is like both of those things. It is a divine formula. It really is. The thing that holds me back the most is I hate that it's in a pot. I don't like potted foundations. I hate it. I feel like I overuse it. Like I'm always taking too much out. And then once it's out of the pot, I'm not gonna like put it back in. So then I just like have excess foundation. So that's like the real big bummer to this. But also I feel like because it's a pot foundation and it's getting exposed to the air, and like I feel like, you know, a foundation stick is like kind of designed to be exposed to air more than like a liquid or gel foundation. I don't know that it would have worked in a pump, but I think that this needs to go back to the drawing board as far as the component goes. But it is beautiful, and I always feel really pretty when I wear it. However, I will tell you the vehicle for it is like a big hurdle for me. It's just never the one that I'm reaching for. If you're new here, the Surratt Dewdrop foundation is my favorite foundation, but it comes in the dumbest component. Definitely dumber than a pot. It comes in this thing and you just like push the. Anyway, that's besides the point. I broke my most recent Surratt Dewdrop foundation and I had to empty it in a Tupperware container. I will tell you, I'm still reaching for my Surratt over this in the Tupperware container. And I know it sounds like I'm really shitting on this product and it's like in 20th place. It's beautiful. It is. And I think if you find a shade, which is hard, their shade range isn't very extensive and their undertones are so weird. I have the shade Porcelain, which I believe is the lightest shade. I think it is. I have the shade Porcelain and I just feel like my skin looks a little dark with it. So it's just like not the perfect match for me, but there's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to go for me. I can't go up or down. Like it's just, there we are. But also not only that, Chantecaille does a really crappy job in their deep complexion and probably even in their medium to deep. So that's another thing to consider. So like they're not really great at that. I get the hype. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. But it's not like Whitney Houston, I want to run to you anymore. And I think it ranks this high because I know it's really good and I know it's a really quality product. But I'd be lying to you if I didn't say if any foundation in my 4 would to get bumped, like my main 4 in my brain, it would be this one, even though I ranked it higher than the Merit. I do think this formula is more elegant than the Merit. I think that this is like, certainly it could be used as day-to-day makeup, but it also could be used for event makeup. It does more than I feel like that one does. But this is just not the foundation that I'm really reaching for anymore. And I just think that if they fix the shade range, fix the component that it comes in, then I would like it a lot more. But it's still really lovely. So I'm giving you whiplash, but this is, I confidently rank it at 20th place. It is one of the best products that I tried this year, but it doesn't mean it doesn't have its faults. This is the last product we're going to talk about. And then the next time we're going to be in my top 18. It's not really giving MySpace vibes, but you guys seem to really like this long format, me sitting in the cozy corner. In 19th place is another Sonia G brush. And it is the Designer Pro brush. Okay, this is a more recent Sonia G purchase. I wanted a brush specifically to take setting powder and put underneath my eyes. Now, I actually don't have the most extensive brush collection. Of course, I have brushes that I like, and I have more than maybe some people do, but like I have to wash my brushes regularly. I can't just keep using them because like I just have clean ones available to me because I just have so many, which I think that sometimes happens when you're watching a YouTuber who might receive PR and whatever. So it's like I'm not living that fantasy. So I wanted a brush for specifically setting my under eye, and this brush looked like the perfect shape, and it is. I recently fell in love with the Charlotte Tilbury airbrush brightening powder, and these two with their powers combined, like the Wonder Twins with their powers combined, it makes the most beautiful. And it's like this brush is so soft, and it is specific. I only use it for that. I'm like finding brushes where I'm like, it does that thing the best, and I love it, and that's how I want to use it. So I don't know that I could, like, if you have a brush that you set your under eyes with, I'm not saying that you need to like throw that out and get this, but boy howdy does it feel like a luxurious experience to pull out a Sonia G brush and just like tap a little powder under your eyes, down your nose. That's the stuff. This is what I told you. I told you at the end of my last video, whenever I start talking about things I just like, ooh, it's so good. Ooh, it's so good. And that's how I feel about this brush. It's so well designed. Sonia G brushes have a reputation, and the reputation is earned as far as I'm concerned. They are some of the most beautiful brushes I've ever used. And that's not to say I've tried every brush, but it's so good that I keep coming back for more. And in fact, next time, in my best of the best, we're not done talking about Sonia G brushes. So there you go. This brush is beautiful. It's exactly what I wanted it to be. I've also used it for highlighter, but this isn't that brush, because I have another Sonia G brush that I like for a highlighter. We're having a time. It's the year of brushes. Brush, blush. What was the other thing that I said that I was my year of? I think it was brushes and blushes. That wraps up this video. Thank you all so much for sticking it through. I hope you had fun in this video. I don't know what the next video is going to sound like. It's going to be like, it's so good, because like that's basically what this video was. I'll throw in some discerning facts about it. I'll play devil's advocate for you. I mean, I'll try, but you know, we're about to get into the best of the best. But if you are new here and you made it all the way to the end of the video, well, thank you so much. If you enjoyed the vibe, subscribe. It's free. And now next time you watch one of my videos, you're going to get to see the best of the best. Well, that won't be tomorrow's video, but it will be a video that comes out very shortly before the end of the year. So go ahead and subscribe and make sure you like this video so other people can find it and enjoy the cozy corner with us. And I'm also on patreon.com/hautemesstom if you would like to support me there. Every member of my Patreon gets the same 2 additional videos every month. One of those deals where it's, if you want to support me that way, you absolutely can. But if not, then no worries. I'm just so happy you're here. And that's it. Whew. We made it through another one. I appreciate you all so much for watching. Remember to follow your host, and you will find me. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye. Bye-bye now.